Well, this is the unveiling of the Featherston camp sculpture just over the road there, but there are events all today and all tomorrow to do with the centennial of Armistice Day. I mean, Bernard Jarvis, who was a Featherston guy and unfortunately died before the sculpture came into fruition. It was really Bernard's vision to have a sculptural memorial in the town to Featherston camp and the town, and how the two interconnected really through 1915 to 1918. With others here, he formed a trust. They raised over $600,000. Well, I think it's great for Featherston that really the part of the camp and Featherston together have been recognised with a fairly major piece of sculpture.
I never stopped thinking about sculpture. I tend to live inside my head a bit with some of these things here. Takes a bit of nothing out, And I found it quite fascinating because I grew up in a small community. I was brought up on a farm, and the people there they remind me of the people of this town. They sort of had quite a strong community spirit, and practically everything in the town that we wanted done was done by volunteer labour. The swimming bars, the club rooms, all that sort of thing, done by all the farmers in their spare time. And I quite like communities working together. I think that's quite something. Well, I did one in London for the New Zealand government. That was about 14 years ago, and there's a big piece in Hyde Park, and it was about twice the size of this work actually, and that took about a year to make too, so it's worked out very well. The one in London's worked out very well. We have an awful lot of New Zealanders that go to London, and they often meet there. If you want to find New Zealanders in London, go and have a look at the memorial. You'll, generally speaking, find them talk to another there. It's it's the end of a long trip, but it has been a lot of work actually.
Yeah.
And these are quite extraordinary things. They've been cast in one pour. It's an awful lot of molten metal.
Wow. So the moulds were one piece. The whole mould was one piece.
Yeah, they were. That's a continuous pour.
Yeah.
And that was done. We didn't do those ourselves. Our kilns aren't big enough. We got heavy metal from Lower Hutt to pour them. But you're talking about about at least half a ton of metal. So it's like a waterfall of metal. You know what I mean? Featherston, you generally around the town, people are starting to acknowledge significant events and mark them, and that's something I think is really, really good. I think for too long New Zealand stories have not been told around the country, so it's quite nice to see that being done.
I've been involved in the Anzac 100 Years, 100 Horses from the time we started in 2015. And so I've been going right around New Zealand on Anzac days, doing all the big marches and including in Australia. This is my last one, and I'm hoping that someone will take up the baton and carry on. It's actually quite unique history here today, because in Armistice, when the Armistice was signed in the Middle East, in Palestine, is that the Canterbury's and the Seventh Light Horse went back to Gallipoli to rebury the dead, and then when they came back from Gallipoli, they had to go to Egypt for the they had a revolution there. They tried, and they were peacekeepers. So the Seventh Light Horse and the Canterbury's were the last to come home. My great-grandfather took his own horse, and he was very fortunate that actually his horse survived right through. It had a number of injuries. My great-uncle, he was underage, and he actually died there. So yeah, that is why I'm honouring it. But we are very grateful to Kiwi Rail. They were the ones who sponsored us across the straits. If it wasn't for them, we would never be here today.
We're here today as representing the 9th and at this ceremony. So we're providing an honour guard as part of the this afternoon's celebrations. But the kit my crew wears is original kit. The horse saddles we use, a lot of the kit we use, the bandoliers, they're all original kit used 100 years ago, and probably used on campaign by the actual guys that went over there to the Suez and fought in those campaigns. So for us it's pretty serious. So we try to get our kit as good as possible in terms of what the guys wore, how the horses were tacked up, everything. Well, every trooper carried a 303, Mark III 303, so I'll be carrying one of those as part of this afternoon. I also carried a bayonet, and that's the weapons that the troopers carried. The officers carried probably a rifle, may have had a revolver, and they also had light machine guns, heavy machine guns, which were also tacked on the horses. All the soldiers that went over to the First World War's mounted rifles, they were all shepherds and they were all drovers and the farmers and that. So they just loaded their horses up and took the horses away with them. So it was an incredible bond with the horses and the men. And I've heard some real horror stories about guys with PTSD who came back afterwards, never ride again, that sort of thing. So it was quite a tragic story that how the horses went over there, served really well, but couldn't come back home because of quarantine regulations. The First World War was just carnage. It was just, I don't think nowadays you get away with that kind of thing, but back then it was just a duty to go and fight, and lost a whole generation. And so it's important to remember that, and important not to make the mistakes of the past. And it's made you think just how lucky I was and many of my generation was that while we served in the Army and Territorials and that, we were never called on to go overseas. And so I'm here for the guys who went overseas. I'm here for the guys, the modern guys and girls who have gone to Afghanistan and Iraq and have come back. We've been incredibly lucky in that we have never had to see the kind of carnage that other people have seen. Well, as you probably know, we're Order of the Boar from Upper Hutt. We do the jousting, but we also do other periods as well, including New Zealand mounted rifles. So looking forward to it, and a little bit different from jousting with armour on. So it's got the stresses, but it's going to be a different kind of show. And it's great to be here.
Kia ora, Nelson, thank you very much. And will be remembered to all who drive past it on this wonderfully prominent site, and for the official dedication of the sculpture.
To be here today to mark the opening of this incredible sculpture. I want to acknowledge all contribution that this camp and this community made to preparing young men to go to a war they knew little about, to an environment that would challenge them immensely, was an enormous contribution to what we know of New Zealand's participation in that conflict. And I am moved today by the words of Dr. Burris. This is a day for Featherston to be very proud. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, kia kaha, tēnā koutou katoa.
As part of the ongoing stewardship of the memories of the World War of 1914 to 1918 and the places and events associated with it.
Give us a 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
just means everything. I mean, I think Wairarapa played such a significant part in the preparation for World War I, and it's been overlooked for so long. So to have that recognised and commemorated in such a fashion that links this sculpture to that which commemorates all those lost in both World Wars in Hyde Park and London is really special. And to have it here in Wairarapa just means so much to everyone here and a lot to myself personally as well.
This is a truly significant moment, not only for Featherston or New Zealand, but this is an internationally significant sculpture and monument. Paul Dibble's an incredible artist, and this is a real testament to his work. But what this is really about today is a community like Featherston, a small provincial town that did something amazing in those years, that it effectively looked after 2/3 of the young men who went to war for New Zealand in World War I. A small town, only about 1,000 people in those days. And so they built up a real relationship with those soldiers, and today small towns like Featherston matter to New Zealand. They're the glue that hold us all together. And so I just think this is not just a monument to the young men who went away from here, many of whom never came back, but a monument to the town of Featherston. So, magnificent occasion. I'm thrilled to be here.
As authentic as possible.
As authentic as possible, and we've had obviously ones made that fit children, so that they can participate with us in our events that we do.
Oh, cool. Where have you come from today?
We've come from Jugiong in Australia, in New South Wales.
Oh, where it's very dry.
Where it's very, very dry. It's nice to see some green grass and some length in it.
The most important thing, that we remember the guys that didn't come back. And that's why we do it. That's what Remembrance Day is all about, lest we forget. So we do it out as a labour of love.
Well, thanks very much for coming, because our community is buzzing because of this.
Oh, well, I hope you get the most out of it. We'll see you again next year.